What does it mean to be conscious? And how does memory shape this very experience? I invite you to join me on an exploration of one of existence's greatest mysteries. We'll journey through scientific discoveries and philosophical insights to understand the fundamental nature of our own awareness. So, what is consciousness? At its core, it's the continuous, subjective experience of feeling the sun's warmth, recalling a loved one's face, sensing an emotion, or simply knowing that you exist in this moment. Philosophers have long grappled with this concept. William James famously described it as a stream of consciousness, an unbroken flow of thoughts, sensations, and memories. Today, neuroscience seeks to uncover how the brain's intricate networks generate this profound sense of self. The central role of memory, a key, yet often overlooked, element, is the deep connection between consciousness and memory. Consider an extreme scenario. If we instantly lost all memory, even short-term, we would be unable to recall what we did a second ago or why we are performing an action. We'd be disconnected from context, adrift in a series of confusing, meaningless moments. This reveals that memory is essential for consciousness to maintain continuity and meaning. Without the thread of memory to weave our moments together, we would experience only isolated flashes, with no coherent sense of past or future. Different types of memory, different layers of consciousness. Memory isn't a single faculty. Different types play distinct roles in shaping our conscious experience. Short-term or working memory holds information actively for seconds or minutes, allowing for coherent thought and action. Long-term memory stores our life story, knowledge, and skills, the foundation of our identity and character. Sensory or iconic memory operates in milliseconds, creating a sense of perceptual cohesion from fleeting impressions. Damage to these systems reveals their importance. Loss of long-term memory can erase one's personal history, while impairment of short-term memory disrupts our ability to follow a thought or recognize a sound. The nature of conscious flow: is consciousness truly a seamless stream, or is it a series of discrete moments? Some neuroscience suggests the brain may process information in rapid micromoments, like video frames, which are then seamlessly integrated into the continuous experience you perceive. Regardless, our feeling of being a continuous self in the present is underpinned by the brain's constant, behind-the-scenes work of processing and memorizing events with temporal coherence. Consciousness and identity. Our consciousness is not just of the present, it is built from our entire past. The memories we accumulate form our personal narrative: who we are, what we value, how we relate to others. This is why no two people share the same consciousness. Each of us constructs a unique inner world from a private library of experiences. Despite advances, the hard problem of consciousness, why and how we have subjective feelings, remains. Theories abound. Global workspace theory. Bernard Baars suggests consciousness arises when information is broadcast to a central cognitive stage. Multiple drafts model. Daniel Dennett proposes various narrative fragments compete for dominance in our awareness. Other views emphasize the roles of emotion, our physical embodiment, and social context. Ultimately, while models differ, memory is universally acknowledged as the scaffold that provides consistency and continuity to conscious experience. Without it, consciousness would fragment. But consciousness is more than memory alone. It involves attention, sensory integration, emotional processing, and, crucially, the irreducible capacity for subjective experience itself. Whether a smooth stream or a series of pulses, consciousness remains the most intimate and precious aspect of our existence. If this exploration resonated with you, please subscribe, like, and share. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement inspires more content like this. Thank you for listening. Until next time. Script 2. Academic and formal. For an educational, documentary-style logo image, what constitutes consciousness? And what is the functional role of memory within this process? This presentation will examine current scientific and philosophical perspectives on this fundamental aspect of human existence. Consciousness, for the purpose of this discussion, refers to the subjective, continuous experience of qualia, the direct sensations of heat, the recollection of a face, the apprehension of an emotion, and the meta-awareness of one's own existence. Historical philosophical discourse, notably from William James, frames consciousness as a stream of cognitive and perceptual events. Contemporary neuroscience aims to identify the neural correlates underlying this phenomenological state. The mnemonic foundation of consciousness. A critical, though sometimes understated, thesis is the dependency of conscious continuity on mnemonic processes. A hypothetical, total, and immediate memory loss, including short-term buffers, will result in a catastrophic disruption of contextual awareness. Action would become devoid of antecedent rationale, leading to a fragmented and semantically null present moment. This illustrates that memory provides the temporal binding necessary for conscious experience, the possessed narrative coherence and meaning. Absent the mnemonic thread, consciousness would devolve into a series of episodically unconnected states. A taxonomy of memory in conscious integration memory systems contribute differentially to the architecture of consciousness. Working memory maintains active representations, enabling sustained cognition and goal-directed behavior. Long-term declarative memory harbors autobiographical and semantic knowledge, constituting the substrate of personal identity. Sensory memory provides brief, high-fidelity storage, facilitating the perceptual integration of stimuli into a coherent scene. Neuropsychological evidence demonstrates that lesions to long-term memory structures can dissolve identity while preserving momentary awareness, whereas damage to working memory systems severely impairs real-time cognitive synthesis. Temporal dynamics of the conscious stream. A current neuroscientific inquiry investigates whether consciousness is analogously continuous or composed of discrete temporal packets. Evidence points to periodic brain rhythms that may discretize processing, with subsequent cognitive integration creating the illusion of an unbroken stream. The perceived continuity of the subjective present is thus a cognitive construct, actively maintained by neural mechanisms that enforce temporal cohesion across sensory and mnemonic inputs. Consciousness as constructed narrative consciousness is inherently historical. The accretion of memories forms an evolving self-narrative that defines individual character and interpersonal relations. Consequently, conscious experience is idiosyncratic. Divergent mnemonic histories guarantee unique phenomenological worlds. Despite shared cognitive structures, the explanatory gap how physical brain processes give rise to subjective experience persists. Leading frameworks include global neuronal workspace theory, positing a central information exchange, the multiple drafts model, emphasizing parallel narrative competition, embodied and extended mind theories, which incorporate somatic and environmental factors. A consensus emerges. Memory is the indispensable substrate for the temporal persistence and structural integrity of conscious experience. Its absence will precipitate phenomenological collapse. Nevertheless, consciousness is not epiphenomenal to memory. It is an emergent property involving selective attention, multimodal sensory binding, affective valuation, and the irreducibly subjective dimension of qualia. If you found this analysis compelling, please subscribe, like, and share to support the channel. We welcome your reflections in the comments section. Thank you for your attention.